Hello, hello, hello. Good morning here in the Netherlands. After a almost 2-week hiatus of not flying the Aerostar due to well, some health issues on my side. Had some dental issues, couldn't wear a headphone properly without pain. That's all solved now. So time to get on with it again. And we are still, of course, in Oita, where we are basically almost rounding off our Japanese trip. Here we are at Oita, and I'm going to fly over in roughly an hour to Tanegashima, all the way here on this island. It's at the tip of the Japanese island, because if we go zoom out a bit, then we get the smaller islands, and then we get Taiwan. So for now, for today, we have a roughly 1 hour flight. A VFR basically following the coast. I've put some waypoints on the capes. Basically there's all kinds of capes here, but basically I'm just gonna follow the coast all the way down. I've got a VOR here, but I'm not gonna program that. I think 112.4, because you know it's coastline. What can go wrong? And at the end we have a tip here next to the bay of Shibushi, and then we go on a, well, let's say a 208 magnetic heading to go to Tanegashima, which also has a VOR 115.4. I will program that just for shits and giggles, and for reference, but other than that, we'll just going visual. So we're here, what did I say, indeed 56 minutes in total, so that's roughly an hour, and well, let's get cracking, let's set her up. Okay, battery on. And fuel on. Now oil is around the 0. I didn't warm her up, so we'll see how that goes. Close the door. Props full, mixtures here, throttles here. Okay, let's see. Nav lights, beacon lights, everything off. So let's start off with this one. I'm gonna turn on the pump. It's round rough, so 7 counts. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Close it. Oh, I've got one. I have to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Close it. Close this a bit. Go for the starter. And as soon as it kicks over, add full mixture. Here we go. Bring her back to 1000 RPM. We're doing the right engine again, of course, because the right engine contains the hydraulic pump, so that we have hydraulic pressure. Putting the alternator, and so we have power also from the alternator on the right side. Also gonna pull already in the fan and the defroster blower to get some fresh air in, so the condensation on the window gets away. Okay, second engine, add throttle, add pump. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Close it, close the throttle a bit, kick her over. Oh, messed up. There we go. Bring her back to 1000 RPM. There we go. Avionics on, autopilot on, master at least. Let everything kick in. 115.4, I'll put that in. That's the first station, or basically a destination station. I'll put it in. Nothing measured yet. Pitot heat is on. And I'll turn on the rest to the cabin fan, cabin heater. Don't need the de-icing the props. Cabin lights on. and it's all good. And let's warm up our oil a bit because that's still cool, but we can still taxi, that's all fine. Oh, I forgot to put in my client stuff, so I'm flying this for my VA. Click, click. Luckily I programmed the flight already, so it's only starting the client, and there it goes. Right, well, we can wait or we can taxi. I haven't figured out the runway yet, so let's try and look at that. We are at RJFO, Oita, and it will be a runway 01 with a headwind of 3 knots and a crosswind from the left of 8, which is fine. Let's look at the overall state. I did this already, of course, but again, the left engine has the massive spark plugs. The right engine has the fine wire spark plugs. Both have the same oil type. And when I look at the engines, you can see both are turning correctly. There's no issues. Also not on the spark plugs, which is the first. Those last times out. This is charging, this is all good. Okay. Update the digital monitor. I have the light fuel option done. When we go crossing over Taiwan, I will refuel and fuel at Tanegashima. That's for next flight. Okay, runway 01. So that means, yeah, that's to the north, and we are we are already facing north. This one is slaved, so we'll come back, but we'll help it a bit. It's 9 degrees. Oh, it was already there. Fine, good. Okay. Parking brakes off. Tumbler switch, oh yeah. I forgot about it. Is there an exit here? Doesn't seem to be. Let me quickly check a little nav map on the airport. Oh yeah, there is. It's a bit counterintuitive still, this tumbler switch for the nose wheel, because as a pilot I'm trained to always hold my throttles when taxiing, because a minor change can really make a difference in falling to a stop or going too fast. And of course I have to take my hand off the throttle to do the tumbler switch, but all in all it's not too bad. It's just different, and we like different, right? That's why we fly A2A. Right, I think we're gonna go all the way to the back. Yeah, nothing as useless as runway behind you. Nice view over the bay. So we are taking off 01 to the north, and then turning back to the south, and then basically following what we see here, all those capes in the distance, following the coast down towards Tanegashima, or Tanegashima, or whatever you pronounce it. Oil is still blinking on the engine tool. It's still below green. If it gets into the green, then we could do our engine check. Windsock is verified with the wind report. And the noise is nice, but I'm gonna put on the headphones, simulate it in the the aircraft. Right, we're here. Parking brake on. Headphones on. Oh, they are on. Okay. Yeah, that's even more. Okay. Inside temperature now 19, so I'm gonna turn down the heater a bit. That's it, 20%. Right. $28. It's in the green, so it's doable. Okay, let's first cycle the oil a bit in the props. As said earlier, I do this in every flight. The prop pitch is maintained via hydraulics. So that's oil, and by cycling these you can see if there's no blockage. You wouldn't want a runaway prop when in the air. So if this doesn't work, then you're back off to the bar. Okay, again on RPMs. Mag check from both to left right. Left both. Left both. All drops, all okay. Pull back the throttles completely. Engine does not shut down. Fine. Again the same people. Movements are clear. Flaps to 10. Strobe on. Outside lights on. And we're good to go. Pumps on. As a precaution. Parking brake off. Why is this blinking? And here we go, wind indeed from the left. So adding a bit of aileron to the left, we'll have some right rudder to keep our nose straight. And now we can gently lift off. There we go. Positive rate, gear up. .200 feet, flaps up. And throttle in climb. And RPMs in climb. There we go. Right turn out of traffic. And we want a VFR flight, so we're not going too high. Also discounting clouds. So let's aim at 2000 feet. Outside lights off. Pumps off. And I'm aiming for that. Bypass this one and aiming for that cape. Over there. Level of 2000 feet. Normal settings of 21 manifold over 2200 RPM. And then leaning out to a roughly 12 gallons an hour on the engines, on the mixture. And here we are. Now just trim her out on the elevators. And we're all set. Right, I didn't do a navigational sheet, you know, on which time I will be at which waypoint. It's basically just following the coast. And if need be, I can always take a peek at little nav map. So I don't expect any issues except visibility will become poor. Nice to be back. That doesn't do anything, of course. Putting the fan to low. 20 degrees. Keep this at 25. This internal temperature thing also always eludes me a bit. It's good. Let's put it at 30. Let's see what happens. In the meantime, our aircraft is well, still dirty, collecting bugs as it would. Some brave soul cleaned it back when we were still in Kamchatka. Other than that, I haven't done anything to it. She really is a well-performing aircraft. Really like it. The former twin I used to fly most twin single-engine piston is the Milvis Cessna 310. I also really like that aircraft. Also with proper wear and tear and getting dirty and stuff. This is slightly bigger and more powerful. I mean, you can't say no to a 180 knots cruise speed, right? And the fun thing about good weather is you see this cape over here. There's even a chimney stack on that for some kind of a, I'm guessing a factory. And you can see the next one already. So I chose this route for basically easy going visual navigation. And normally I like coastlines to fly along. Also in real life. Here in the Netherlands there's not many coastlines, basically one. But still I like flying it. It's an ease of navigation versus there's always something happening at the coastlines, especially if the weather is warm, there's people on the beach and stuff. So this will be waypoint number 1. And we're continuing on waypoint number 2. I'm not using the autopilot at the moment, no need to. It's stable, the weather is good. Wind isn't gusty or particularly strong. And in any case, if it tends to blow us, of course, it doesn't really matter because with the visibility that we have, maintaining course is basically an automation for me. Using rudder. Engine is good, temps are good, pressures are good, everything is in the range, in the green. Ascending just a tad too much. I wanted to hold 2000, so I want to hold 2000, not 2200. So my expecting route towards Gold Coast and Australia, now that we're basically gonna move away from the Japanese mainland, is Okinawa, following the string of Japanese home islands. From Okinawa, I guess Taiwan, then maybe another Taiwanese island, but if not, then a straight run through to the north of the Philippines. And I'm guessing we will soon be in what I would say tropical temperatures after that. It's surprisingly cold here still, considering that on the latitude that we're basically in the north of Africa. This is like Morocco on this same latitude. But it's still around 0 degrees, still freezing. It's not in Africa, I can tell you that. So I'm guessing in the Philippines that will soon change to tropical temps, and I'm quite curious how the aircraft will perform there. It's not an aircraft that performs very nicely in cold weather, needing engine heating and long time to heat the... Oh, this isn't going bad. Basically set this too high and then this too... So there's a... Yeah, temperature management is a thing in this aircraft, but if it's warm outside then you don't need that. How it will fly I do not know. This aircraft is quite powerful in the engines, but of course the colder the air, the thicker the air, and the thicker the air, the better the aircraft performs. The better the props perform, the better the wings perform, the better the engines perform. So I'm quite curious if there's... what we see here is an indicated airspeed of 185, if that for instance will drop due to the warm weather. In the meantime we're passing waypoint 2. And then I don't know anymore really. I think there's 3 capes and then it's just coastline, coastline, coastline. I thought it was a battleship or something, but it's a really small island with some trees on it. Okay. It's a beautiful place to fly actually. Don't fly a lot in this corner of the world basically because of the time difference. Even now I've set the time here locally to my time locally over here in the Netherlands. So 4 past 10 in the morning. I like to fly live weather and live timing the most. Of course, it's a bit gnarly. Let me check the weather. Is this typical? Or did I set... No, default is Amazon. Current preset is live weather. Okay, that's good. That was the typical weather add-on, by the way, from Parallel 42. Because I don't like the Microsoft presets much, because they're too static. This little tool gives you, when you click on it, a typical weather scenario for the area and time that you're flying. So it's semi-live, semi-static, if that makes sense. Right, crossing this cape, and then we have another cape, and then we see the line of coast following after that. But you can see how smooth she is. She's not on rails not by any means, but she's so, I don't know, it feels good. It feels just for the type of aircraft, the size of the type of aircraft. I can't explain it, but when I relate to it with flying for real, in real life, it feels solid, it feels correct. And in real life I don't fly multi-engine aircraft, only single engine. So. Thinking of which, what's tomorrow's flying weather like? Dicey, sketchy. Haven't flown in 1.5 months. For real, due to all kinds of stupid circumstances. So, looking for time to fly again. And looking outside now, the weather is great in the Netherlands. But now I'm here. Yeah. Right. This is going nice. And what you can see now, I'm using that little cape over there, but in the distance you already have another point. So I'm gonna point. Yeah, I'm just meandering between a bit. We're letting very small course corrections to just follow this coastline, which isn't exactly a line. And like I said earlier, I had some health issues, dental issues, which hurt, especially with a headphone on. So I haven't really done anything on my PC in the last 2 weeks. No flying, no racing. So yeah, good to be back. Solid. Nice. I still have to learn this RNAV approach thing. So look at that in the manual, see if I can enter that in one of the flights. Especially when we're around islands, it will be more difficult to get a VFR bearing, to get a visual bearing on where we are and where we're gonna go, including where you want to land. So maybe also look into that. Nice, I like this. I like islands, like flying around islands. It's like there's even a little settlement on there. Like it's all in micro, you know. Everything you can find on the mainland, you can also find on an island that's very tiny, very small, like a harbor or a small airfield or a town or a community or a marina, stuff like that. I like it. look to the right and I see that everything is as it should be. Everything is in the green, everything is fine. There's no rough noises, rough running, anything. The last problem that we had is basically a long time ago already. When we were crossing the Bering Straits. When the left engine dropped a cylinder. If you're watching this and you're thinking, wow, okay, your engine lost a cylinder, how'd you go about that? That film of course still available on my channel, so feel free to find it, should be easy to find. Bit of choppy air every now and then, nothing major. To see another mountain or cape looming up already in the distance. So I'm gonna steer a bit to the left. Let's get to clear that. Now normally, and that's in the Netherlands, I don't know if that's a thing somewhere else, but it's something my instructors taught me. When you follow a coastline, you treat the line itself as kind of like the midsection on a highway, so you always stay on the right side of it. No, I'm not doing that, of course. The reasoning behind it is because a lot of people, flyers, tend to follow coastlines. It's easy, you know, navigational wise. And that way you always keep a horizontal separation. I think that makes sense, especially with crossing traffic. The other reason is of course that you're always near the coast. Whenever an engine could fail, you wouldn't want to be over water. Because 9 out of 10 times when you ditch an aircraft, it will flip over. And if you've lost your bearings, then you will survive the crash and drown. Which of course is kind of ironic and sucky. So I'm not doing this real life stuff. For one, because I like to navigate like this. For second, it's a sim. It's not for real. And for third, when talking about coastlines, looking at my coastline experience, that's the Netherlands, it's all beach. It's all sand, hard sand, then water. It's all beach. So I can land basically wherever I want. On this end though, in Japan, it's either city or mountain. There's not a whole lot in between. So there's basically no flat space where I could set her down in a case of an emergency. And I have 2 engines, mind that. Set our altitude again. I wanted 2000, not 1900. Getting a bit of a choppy air, and you see that because the aircraft is doing a little bit of fluttering on the altitude. Now it's 2050. It's not bad. Oh, what did I press? This is more of a coastline now. Getting less scraggy. And this is a town. I'm picking which town this is. Hyuga. The town of Hyuga. That means we are roughly halfway already. But yeah, the Japanese islands are rugged. There's so many mountains. I didn't expect that for the whole country to be so uneven. I'm guessing here in Europe you have all kinds of sorts. Normally the Netherlands, of course, is flat. Not a whole lot going on there. Then you have some rolling hillside stuff, and you have mountain ranges like the Alps, or the Apennines, or the come on, Pyrenees. That's the word I was looking for. Here, the whole island seems to be craggy. The whole country. What I said earlier about the coastline following, the unwritten rule being on the right of the actual coastline. I'm gonna do that now because now it's becoming less scraggy and a bit more flat. Not doing something dramatic, just keeping my heading, and then I'll steer a bit to the left when opportune. Nice. I should switch something in the passengers, see if they also switch, because I've got the same passenger with me for the last, what, like 6-7 flights. It's a visual thing, nothing more. Right, there we are. So this was what I was talking about. Now I don't know if this is an international thing or not, but to me it's been taught that if you're following a coastline, you always go to the right of it. See it as a highway where the upcoming traffic is on the other side, so I always keep right of the coastline, meaning that as people tend to follow coastlines as a navigational aid visually, you will always have horizontal separation. because the crossing traffic is always on the other side, on the water side, so to speak, on this case. And secondly, because you're still in the vicinity of the coastlines, they naturally tend to be flat, so you always have a place to put her down should the need arise. Coming out over a river here and the town. Gonna do a sneak peek again. Takanabe and Saito, basically two towns grown into one, if little nav map is correct. River coming down the mountains. I'm looking at the sleek bird. Like I said earlier, I still think it's from the outside quite an ugly plane. The nose is too deep, the belly is too deep. But she's sleek, I'll give her that. And looking at this, I'm like, okay, how great, how far sim flying has become. If you look at the graphical representation and the, let's name it the air modeling of aircraft in sims, it's come such a long way. I started flying in FS4, Flight Sim 4. And maybe even before that, but I don't really know anymore. It's not my active recollection. Flying basically a set of pixels and lines towards another set of pixels and lines. This is insane. And I'm not running this on high graphics either, because my rig can't hold that. Well, my memory and CPU could, but my graphics card is still an old 1080 NVIDIA. It performs well, but it's beginning to show its age. So maybe I'll invest in a newer card soon, somewhere this year. Ah, airport over there. To crank up some graphics on this, but it's already looking great. If I look at this, it's wow. A couple of weeks ago I did a Grand Canyon run, and it doesn't matter if you take a fast or a slow aircraft. It's amazing. It's amazing the texturing and the coloring and the lack of pop-up and the smoothness. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm running basically a steady 30 FPS because I've set it up that way. But it's not hicky, it's just smooth. What I can tell is that I'm not running this. My monitor is a 24-inch curved, ultra wide. If I scale it to 100%, my card will not hack that. 1080 will not hack that, so I've scaled it down to like 65-70%, something like that, in the flight sim settings. And it still looks, yeah, great. Think nothing of it. Temp still around the 0. Everything green. Now in this bend, I know this because this is where the aforementioned VUR station is, which I'm not using. That's Miyazaki. Here you get a river and then it's bending out again along this cropping. So I remember this one. This is the town of Miyazaki, if I pronounce that correctly. I'm guessing it's called like that. I find it absolutely beautiful. You can see some low res stuff here, but I don't know if that's visual on my side or it's visual in the sim. But I don't care. It's good enough to make it distinct, remarkable, lifelike, navigationable. You know, there's a lot of stuff in this sim that is now actually you now I think this is one of the first sims. 2020 was of course the first, where you could actually navigate on visual stuff. So a bridge or a peninsula, the shape of a lake, stuff like that. All the earlier sims, you know, a kidney-shaped lake was often have sharp edges instead of the kidney shape. See these bridges? Perfectly navigationable, because you know they are also in little nav map, so you can basically sync that with the sim and say, okay, the airport here, Miyazaki. So now we're gonna go a bit to the left again. Bit of throttle, getting it back to 21. It went up to 22, so that says something about ambient air pressure. And I've got signal on the VOR. "26 minutes. Oh. That. Yeah. Have to be done by 11, so. Or I could speed it up. Let's say if I put it on climb settings, 2400 over 24 manifold pressure. Let's see what this baby can do. first you see that the virtual speed wants to go up because lift is a result of speed. So you have to compensate for that on the elevator trim. And we are indeed approaching almost 200 knots indicated. So you see the time to station going down. It was 26, now it's 21. So we're saving 5 minutes. Now on the downside, we are burning almost 14 gallons an hour. I can try to take that back a bit, but it will probably start humping. Yeah, it does. So you're trading in fuel economy for speed. Let me tell you, when you're a private pilot, you will take the fuel economy. By no means is it a price to be able to fly 6 minutes less on the account of a 30 to 40 euro higher fuel tag. That's what we're talking about. This is our hobby, right? So we're not in any hurry. But it's fun to see how it's modeled and how it works. Going over the 200 now? Yep. Another town here. Take a sneak peek. Nichinan. Nichinan or Nishinan? I don't know. Japanese pronunciation of where you put the emphasis. I don't know. I think the islands over there are where we are going to, or we're heading for. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet, because if this is the bay, then that's the island over here, the haze that we're going towards. We know that's on a heading of 208, so let's say 210. Which is basically this heading. If you go to the point and then extend it, then you're the tip of the point, the tip over here. Then we're good to go. And we do have the radial already. So our airport destination is basically dead ahead. If the needle is in the center, dead ahead. Check the arrival. Tanegashima. 13 on the nose for runway 31. 2 on the right hand side. So 31 is best recommended, yeah. 13 on the tail is a bit hefty. Why, you ask? Because it increases your landing speed across the ground. A nice theoretical rule of thumb is that every 2 knots on your tail adds 10% to your landing roll. So 13 knots, let's round it off in the worst case scenario, 14 is 7 times 2. Means 70%, 70% more on your landing roll. Now if that does not match the length of the runway, that's gonna be a world of hurt. Yeah, this is the bay. This is the bay of Shishimu. And this is basically the tip, well, basically that one too, of Japan, the mainlands. And our destination is here in the haze. Tanegashima. Or Tanegashima, whatever. "50 miles, 14 minutes. I'm gonna keep this speed off because I've got an appointment at 11. Bad planning on my side. I thought I had more time. No worries. It'll be fine. We have a fast aircraft, so it'll be fine. So runway 31, that's landing towards the north. So if I'm going to look at HSI, then this is our course at the moment, 20210, and the airport is around here, 31. So we could do a normal approach or just do a long base in, we'll see. Quite curious when this temperature needle will start moving on up. I'm expecting it to be around Taiwan and then very fast when we're going towards the Philippines, because I'm guessing the Philippines in my mind is always a tropical country, and we're not far away from that. This is the weirdness around this area. I really find this weird because, like I said earlier, on the latitudes we are now basically in the head of Africa, which is, as we know, quite warm. Well, here it's around freezing, around 0. Yeah, 0 Celsius, or well, let's say 32. Yeah, 32 Fahrenheit. Interesting. So leaving the tip over there, the bay of Shishimu. Even at higher settings, temps and pressures are quite alright. But you can truly see that we're burning a gallon per engine more an hour for, let's say, 10-12 knots of speedway gain. So for a private pilot, that's an expensive gain. Let's put it like that. also wondering if there will be more bugs collecting in a tropical country. The plane was quite dirty when crossing the Bering Straits. I can't imagine there being a lot of bugs over there, but who knows? I have no real clue, it's just what I can think of it, my assumption. There is not a whole lot of dirt gathering over Japan, but again, 0 degrees, winter, or even freezing, so not a lot of bugs. So what I'm also curious about is if I'm going towards tropical countries like the Philippines, if the dirt and bug accumulation will go up. See them now on the nose, the engine cowling on the tail. Very clearly. Bit off course. See immediately when you don't have a visual reference that you start wondering that the wind does something with us, which we can't account for if we don't have a visual cue like a coastline or a cape, something else that you follow. And here's our island. Now I don't know if the island is called Tanegashima, but I do know that the airport is called as such. Nakatane is the town on the south. Nishinomote is the town on the north, I guess. So, runway 31. If it's indeed 31, then it will basically we'll basically approach it at the very correct angle, then turn in on a right-hand approach, right-hand visual approach. So to do that, we're already going down to 1,000 feet. So I'm putting throttle again a bit. Descend us towards 1,000 feet. Internationally, that's usually the circuit altitude. It does seem a bit rocky, so I'm gonna quickly check airfield altitudes, Q and E. Yeah, that's higher. 770 feet, so I'm going to 1700 feet. Here we are. That means I'm already at circuit altitude. Don't have to bother about that. Because on a pattern or a circuit, whatever the wording is that you choose, the altitude is always fixed, so you can't ascend or descend into a pattern. That would be bad, because you don't know what's underneath you, and on an aircraft that's a high wing doesn't know what's above him. So you always come into a pattern or a circuit. Like I said, the Dutch translation is normally circuit because it's the Dutch word is circuit, but I'm guessing pattern is a more English term for it. Doesn't really matter. In any case, you come on T-boning the runway, then do either a left-hand or a right-hand approach. Usually it's a left-hand approach, but for easiness here we're gonna do the right-hand, otherwise we have to overfly or circumvent the airfield. So we take a right-hand visual approach on that altitude of 1700. When the runway is roughly 45 degrees, now when the landing point I wish to take is roughly 45 degrees behind, then I start descending and going to base. And when I'm in line with the runway, I turn final. Now of course we have some checks, downwind checks. That would be gear, that would be getting the speed to the white line, white arc, so I can get set flaps 1. That would mean the landing lights, and that would mean the fuel pumps in case of emergency. That's my alarm for my 11 o'clock appointment. Can't see the runway yet, it's 7 miles off. Or at least the VOR station is, but I guess that's at the airport. Yeah, that is, it is. I can see the runway. I normally have some downwind checks. They are usually in the aircraft thing, but usually it's around comps, gears, gas. That's about tanks. Which tank do you use? That's easy on this one. Undercarriage, manifold pressures, props, and systems. That's the aircraft, and of course itself, it's just about setting everything right. I'm a bit high. So I'm gonna pull throttle back. Mixture's full. Landing lights on. Pumps on. I'm gonna start my... I'm gonna go for 3-1, so I'm gonna go left. Start my downwind run. As soon as I start turning, my speed will drop a bit. Gear down. 3-1 is on the backside of the HSI, which is such a great tool. There it is, the runway. Flaps 10. Now you see why right hand is such a bitch, because you know left hand is so much easier to see, right hand is a bit harder. 45 degrees. Turning in, now I'm starting to descend, so getting off the throttle a bit. Don't dive. There's no use for diving. There you are. Those hills aren't great there. So descending is not great either at the moment. Flaps 20. Which will increase our stall speed and decrease our flight speed. Which of course needs some throttle to overcome that. I'm gonna do a slow turn already towards final. Mind the speed. Keep the speed around 100. Speed is life, speed is lift. You see some towers over there. I'm guessing they are power lines, so you won't want to go below that. Flaps 30. Prop pitch full fine. This is in case of an emergency. If I have to do a go around and I want to make maximum power, and for that I need maximum prop pitch. And now we basically just fly her towards the runway. We pull her towards the runway with the throttles. Don't go too fast. Don't go too slow. Don't mind those pappies a bit. The runway is long enough, and I'm aiming at the aim point. Now I'm a bit too low. It's all good. Over the runway. We're gonna go pull the throttle. Keep her centered. Pull the throttle completely and just keep her flying. 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 And we stall onto the runway a bit. Just tend to go a bit to the left. That's not too bad. Is this a taxiway? Doesn't seem like it. Flaps up. Where's the damn taxi spaces over here? I should have thought of that sooner, because I don't see them. This looks like a taxiway. That looks like an apron. Messing about here. And here you see the fumbling with the thumb switch. Landing lights off, strobes off. This is not a taxiway. This is stupid. But it does lead me towards the left, so let's follow it. Let's see where this venture brings us. It's a road, not a taxiway, that's for sure. Oh well. Yeah, should have properly prepared for this. Bumpy. Oh well. I'll just put it here, right? In proper fashion of fuck-uppery. Parking brake on, pumps off. And now we go shut down, avionics off. Alternator off. Pull the mixtures. Ignition's off. Now we just turn off all the lights. And the battery switch and the pitot heat. And we are done. Cool. Welcome to Tanegashima. And open the door up. Our next stop will be Okinawa, and then we will be off towards other countries. But that's for another flight. Thanks for watching this one, and talk to you soon on our next flight. Bye bye.